A 2,000-year-old prophecy, revealed by Black Jesus. What's happening now? Why do prophecies captivate us? For as long as humanity has walked the earth, people have been drawn to the mysteries of the unknown. Prophecies, ancient, cryptic, and often haunting, capture the human imagination in a way few other ideas can. They offer glimpses beyond the veil of present struggles, suggesting insights into humanity's future and our place in the cosmos. In America, a nation built on aspirations, yet shadowed by fears of catastrophe, these prophetic messages have always resonated. What is it about these ancient proclamations that strikes such a profound chord with us? Perhaps it's the notion that what we endure now might have been foreseen, an idea that brings a sense of purpose to our present chaos and turbulence. Now, imagine a prophecy stretching back 2,000 years, predating empires, political boundaries, and the fabric of modern society. It is a prophecy whose words reverberate through the ages, across wars and peacetimes, revolutions and renaissances, addressing us in this very moment, as if crafted precisely for our era. And consider if this message were delivered by a figure not confined to race or circumstance, yet one who stands alongside the silenced and marginalized, a figure known as Black Jesus, who not only speaks, but embodies the timeless wisdom of this prophecy. Today, this ancient warning and promise come to life, illuminating a message that resonates deeply in a world fractured by global unrest, social division, and environmental crisis. If this resonates with you, subscribe to our channel to stay connected as we continue exploring these timely insights. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. 1. Context of the 2,000-year-old prophecy. In contemplating the 2,000-year-old prophecy, we are drawn into a complex matrix of its origins, resonating through millennia and intricately interwoven into religious and spiritual texts. This prophecy transcends the confines of scriptural interpretation, instead posing fundamental questions about justice, upheaval, and renewal within a world fraught with imbalances. Echoing across sacred canons and hidden within apocryphal manuscripts, it demands a philosophical inquiry that not only seeks meaning in abstract terms, but also illuminates the lived experiences, particularly within the American landscape and notably among Black communities, where endurance and resilience imbue this prophecy with a unique potency. Prophecy, as a profound mode of literary and spiritual expression, is deeply entrenched within a multitude of cultural traditions, but it finds perhaps its most significant embodiment within the Judeo-Christian lineage. The prophetic voices of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and Ezekiel, whose messages permeate the Hebrew Bible, addressed their audiences in language veiled with allegory and enigma. Their words transcended mere foresight. They became calls for justice and renewal, appeals for transformation that sought to challenge societal norms and ideals. In the New Testament, this tradition persists, particularly through Jesus' teachings and the visionary revelations within the Book of Revelation. Jesus himself stands as a prophetic figure, critiquing the powerful and uplifting the marginalized. Revelation, through its labyrinthine symbolism, envisions a world turned on its axis. Worldly powers crumble, evil is defeated, and a new cosmic order emerges. The cryptic language here serves not merely as an esoteric enigma, but as a critique of oppressive systems, projecting a vision where justice and harmony ultimately prevail. Beyond the canonical texts, an expansive collection of apocryphal and pseudepigraphal writings such as the Gospel of Thomas, the Apocalypse of Peter, and the Book of Enoch, further diversify this prophetic tradition. Although outside the traditional canon, these writings offer distinctive insights into the prophetic discourse, elaborating on cosmic dualities and the ultimate triumph of divine justice over human corruption. These works, too, are imbued with a spirit that transcends individual redemption, calling instead for societal transformation, an ethos that reemerges in the context of America's struggles. The language of prophecy is never unambiguous. It thrives in metaphor and symbolism, allowing for interpretations that evolve alongside each epoch. Symbols like Babylon and figures such as the beast or false prophet persist, yet adapt, acquiring new connotations as they intersect with the socio-political landscapes of each generation. In this prophetic text, themes of justice, upheaval, and retribution resonate beyond individual morality, challenging systemic injustices. Within the American context, a society historically portrayed as a beacon of opportunity, yet built on the exploitation of marginalized communities. These themes acquire an intensified relevance. Here, prophecy is not a distant forewarning, but an urgent call, one that interrogates the nation's internal contradictions and historical hypocrisies. Within Black American culture, prophecy assumes a deeply personal dimension. Figures such as Frederick Douglass and Martin Luther King Jr. utilized the prophetic voice to critique and galvanize with King's speeches, in particular embodying the essence of prophetic language as a moral imperative. His I Have a Dream and Letter from Birmingham Jail are replete with allusions to justice and equality, invoking the prophetic tradition as a call for societal reformation. For these voices, prophecy does not merely anticipate the future, it demands transformation in the present. In recent movements like Black Lives Matter, the prophetic tradition endures, with activists invoking justice to combat systemic oppression. Within this framework, Black Jesus emerges as a profound symbol, a deity aligned with the marginalized, representing resilience and affirming human dignity amid struggle. Black Jesus is not a passive savior. Rather, he embodies resistance against systemic injustice and becomes a force of solidarity with those whose voices have been historically silenced. At its philosophical core, this prophecy speaks to the dualities of justice and retribution, transformation, and hope. It challenges entrenched systems and those wielding power at the expense of others, calling for an accountability that transcends punitive retribution and seeks societal equilibrium. Particularly within Black American narratives, where the quest for equity remains arduous, this prophetic call becomes an enduring source of hope, a vision of societal restructuring that demands a reckoning with both historical and current injustices. The figure of Black Jesus encapsulates this prophetic vision as an emblem of resilience and transformation. His presence symbolizes not only spiritual salvation, but an ethical imperative to confront injustice, urging a collective commitment to equity. In the American philosophical landscape, Black Jesus emerges as a radical theological and ethical symbol, one that subverts traditional depictions of divinity and calls for a society rooted in justice and empathy. This prophecy, laden with themes of justice, retribution, and hope, stands as a philosophical beacon. It calls for action, urging a reconception of society where justice is neither deferred nor abstract, but pursued actively. In this way, prophecy is more than ancient wisdom. It is a living, breathing philosophy that challenges, inspires, and beckons all to envision a world built on justice, equity, and solidarity. Second breakdown of the prophecy. A step-by-step revelation. This prophecy is not merely a declaration, but an unfolding philosophical journey, each segment unveiling truths, insights, and cautionary messages that envision a transformative future for humanity. Like many ancient texts, it conveys profound meanings through symbolic language, employing metaphors that suggest forces beyond ordinary perception. To fully apprehend its depth, we must dissect its stages, breaking down the symbols, interpreting the warnings, and uncovering the promises it offers to those seeking renewal. This methodical approach reveals the prophecy as a call to introspection and metamorphosis, especially poignant within today's societal and spiritual realms. The prophecy commences with potent symbols that evoke imagery of a world on the precipice of upheaval. The phrase, "the earth will shake," conjures visions of natural disasters, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, or social convulsions disrupting entire nations. Yet, this shaking may transcend literal interpretation. "The earth will shake" can signify not only physical tremors, but also the socio-political instability that threatens to unsettle established societies. In the modern context, this could be read as an allusion to increasing polarization, social unrest, and environmental crises, all hallmarks of contemporary existence. A subsequent image, that of the sun darkened, invokes an atmosphere of profound loss and ominous foreboding. Taken literally, it suggests environmental degradation, as climate change and pollution obscure our physical world. Symbolically, however, this darkening sun speaks to a moral and spiritual eclipse, where humanity's guiding principles have faltered. In many traditions, the sun represents truth, enlightenment, and divine presence. Thus, the sun darkened could reflect a modern loss of ethical direction amid corruption and greed, a vision closely aligned with contemporary experiences of widespread disillusionment. The prophecy continues with stars falling from the sky and waters turned bitter. Stars, often symbolic of influential figures or esteemed leaders, falling implies a revelation of false idols or the downfall of revered institutions. In an era where scandals frequently dethrone prominent figures, this image mirrors current feelings of betrayal by those once held in high regard. Meanwhile, waters turned bitter may signify the contamination of essential resources, both literal and metaphorical. Just as water is vital for survival, so are ethical and spiritual integrity for societal well-being. This bitterness hints at the rise of cynicism, distrust, and despair as communities feel let down by those they once trusted. Together, these symbols compose a picture of a world in crisis, marked by both external and internal chaos. The prophecy's language is not only a forecast of potential future events, but a reflection of the present, where natural disasters, social unrest, and spiritual malaise are increasingly interconnected. Its symbolic expressions prompt us to consider how these forces are intertwined, cautioning us to be mindful of the consequences of our collective and individual actions. In a subsequent shift, the prophecy moves from nature to humanity, focusing on those in positions of power. The mighty will fall, it warns, echoing the ancient tradition of holding leaders accountable. This admonition targets not only those who exploit power without compassion, but also those who, in the pursuit of wealth and status, neglect the suffering around them. This is not a promise of the immediate downfall of every powerful individual, but a reminder of an ultimate reckoning awaiting those who misuse their authority. In this respect, the prophecy aligns with the concept of prophetic justice found in the biblical tradition, where rulers are frequently admonished for exploiting the vulnerable. In America, a country shaped by the ideals of freedom and opportunity, yet marked by a history of exploitation and inequality, this message rings especially relevant. The phrase, "the mighty will fall," serves as a reminder that even the most influential figures and institutions are not beyond reproach. It calls upon the nation to scrutinize its own contradictions, urging leaders to address these inequities before they lead to irreversible consequences. This warning extends beyond political elites to encompass cultural influencers, corporate giants, and public figures whose actions shape societal norms. In a world that frequently equates wealth with worth, the prophecy cautions that those who wield influence irresponsibly are also subject to moral judgment. This message is particularly pertinent in modern societies, where wealth disparity and social inequality continue to widen, reminding us to reevaluate the values that drive us and to pivot towards collective responsibility and compassion. Furthermore, the prophecy's judgment is not solely aimed at individuals, but at societies that allow injustice to endure. For communities that remain passive in the face of oppression, it implies that complicity bears its own consequences. Structures built on the suffering of others are, it warns, ultimately unsustainable, and justice, though sometimes delayed, is inevitable. This segment of the prophecy serves as a call for reflection, challenging societies to confront their role in either perpetuating or alleviating injustice. Despite its stern tone, the prophecy also carries a beacon of hope, extending a path of redemption to those who adhere to principles of justice and compassion. For individuals and communities striving to live ethically, the prophecy offers the assurance that their efforts are meaningful. Those who walk in light are promised a future safeguarded from the surrounding chaos, a message encouraging the pursuit of justice, even against daunting odds. This vision of redemption offers solace, especially in periods of uncertainty. For those overwhelmed by present-day challenges, the prophecy's assurance is a light of guidance. Redemption here is not about evading hardship, but about transformation through resilience and integrity, highlighting that true renewal arises not from circumventing adversity, but from facing it with moral strength. The prophecy's emphasis on unity and compassion also serves as a critique of modern individualism. In societies that often prioritize self-interest, the prophecy's call for community-oriented values serves as a counter-narrative. It emphasizes that hope and renewal are found not in isolation, but in solidarity, resonating with spiritual traditions that uphold compassion and community as central virtues. To those who have endured hardship or have remained steadfast in their values despite adversity, the prophecy's promise of redemption offers validation. Their sacrifices are not in vain. Their dedication to justice and kindness is meaningful and enduring. This vision is more than an ideal. It serves as a roadmap for navigating complex times with resilience, reminding individuals of the transformative power of compassion and community. In sum, the prophecy's revelations unfold as a nuanced blend of caution and optimism, addressing the fears and aspirations intrinsic to the human experience. Through a tapestry of symbolic language, it presents a world on the brink, facing both natural and ethical upheaval. Its warnings to leaders and societies underscore the importance of accountability, urging a shift from self-interest towards a more inclusive vision of justice. For those committed to these values, the prophecy holds out a promise of renewal, affirming that even in the face of turmoil, there is hope. Ultimately, this prophecy transcends a simple prediction. It serves as a philosophical mirror, inviting deep reflection and transformation. It reminds us that our actions, both individual and collective, resonate through the fabric of society, shaping the world we leave behind. Whether regarded as a spiritual message or a moral guide, it calls us each to consider our roles in fostering a just and compassionate world. Through its layered symbols, it encourages us to find strength in unity, seek hope in resilience, and envision a redemption that upholds both personal and communal welfare. 3. The prophecy and modern global crisis. In this era of rapid change and unprecedented global challenges, an ancient prophecy reverberates with a resonance that defies time. Its themes of upheaval, justice, and renewal are no longer abstract, but embedded within our daily lives, echoing warnings and offering glimmers of hope for a world on the brink of transformation. To view this prophecy solely as a relic of history is to miss its vital relevance. Its insights reach directly into the heart of today's crises. From social unrest to environmental degradation and impassioned calls for justice, this prophecy's cautions appear strikingly prescient, urging us to confront the repercussions of our collective actions and to strive for a world rooted in compassion and equity. Examining the prophecy alongside the crises defining our age reveals profound alignments. Modern issues like economic inequality, racial tension, environmental devastation, and corruption expose a society teetering on the edge of transformation, or, perhaps, collapse. These challenges extend beyond the political and social domains, signaling deeper spiritual and moral disconnections where materialism and power eclipse compassion and ethics. The widening chasm between rich and poor stands out as one of the clearest indicators of this imbalance. Worldwide, an immense concentration of wealth in the hands of a few exists alongside the daily struggles of millions to secure basic necessities. Economic disparity breeds resentment, fractures social cohesion, and stokes civil unrest. The prophecy's forewarning of consequences for the powerful and unjust feels both acute and imminent, speaking directly to the realities of economies predicated on exploitation. As corporate interests frequently overshadow human dignity, the prophecy's call for accountability and justice becomes increasingly urgent. Similarly, the ongoing realities of racial injustice point to a world still ensnared in the shadows of its own past, particularly in places like the United States, where the legacies of slavery and segregation continue to affect millions. The prophecy's messages of justice and redemption resonate powerfully. The enduring impacts of systemic racism, discrimination, and police violence expose a society grappling with unresolved moral contradictions. The prophecy's themes of transformation and accountability offer a stark reminder to those perpetuating these injustices and a vision of hope for those fighting for change. The prophecy's implications also extend to our relationship with nature. The climate crisis, visible in the escalating frequency and severity of hurricanes, wildfires, floods, and droughts, manifests as perhaps the most glaring symptom of a world out of harmony. Phrases like the earth shaking and the sun darkening reflect our present environmental collapse, as climate change threatens the stability of ecosystems and societies alike. These symbols evoke both literal and figurative meanings, pointing to a profound disconnection from nature and from sustainable ways of life. The prophecy's wisdom urges humanity to reassess its interactions with the earth before irrevocable damage is done. The figure of Black Jesus. in today's movements embodies a prophetic call for justice, resilience, and hope. More than a religious symbol, Black Jesus represents a prophetic voice demanding compassion and accountability. Emerging from the struggles of Black Americans and other marginalized groups, this figure champions the oppressed, confronting systems of power and envisioning a world rooted in equity. In movements like Black Lives Matter, environmental justice initiatives, and economic reform campaigns, Black Jesus becomes a powerful reminder that the prophecy is not just a caution, but a call to action. Through these movements, he speaks on behalf of the silenced, urging them to demand justice and reject oppression. The enduring influence of Black Jesus in social movements is particularly evident in the fight for racial justice. Black Lives Matter, for instance, rose in response to systemic violence and racism, highlighting the injustices faced by Black individuals in America and worldwide. Black Jesus symbolizes that true justice transcends retribution, advocating for redemption and transformation instead. He challenges individuals to examine their actions and biases, urging them to contribute to a vision of society based on respect, dignity, and justice. Black Jesus's message also resonates with environmental justice efforts, acknowledging that environmental destruction disproportionately affects marginalized communities. His prophetic call for a just and sustainable world compels society to consider the impact of present actions on future generations. This message aligns with indigenous and eco-theological perspectives that view humanity as part of an interconnected web of life, fostering an ethos of stewardship for both the planet and each other. In economic reform movements, Black Jesus critiques systems that prioritize profit over people. As inequality deepens, his message calls for a more equitable distribution of resources and opportunities. The prophecy's warning to the powerful reminds society that true leadership is rooted in compassion and responsibility. Black Jesus's voice thus pushes for a shift from individualism to collective well-being, a transformation from prosperity for the few to a shared vision for all. The prophecy's signs echo through natural phenomena as well. Wildfires, hurricanes, floods, and droughts, now more frequent and severe, are stark reminders of environmental turmoil. The prophecy's imagery of the earth shaking and waters turning bitter captures both the literal environmental devastation and the moral ramifications of our actions. These events are more than natural occurrences. They signal a world in crisis, pointing to profound imbalances that demand our attention. In recent years, wildfires have engulfed regions from California to Australia, eradicating homes, displacing communities, and devastating ecosystems. Hurricanes and tropical storms batter coastlines with increased intensity, while droughts and heat waves threaten water supplies and food security. These signs not only illustrate the prophecy's warnings, but also serve as calls to action, urging us to recognize the lasting consequences of today's choices on future generations. Across the globe, societies are rallying for change, accountability, and a new way of life. Movements advocating for climate action, social justice, and economic reform have gained momentum, with individuals and communities striving for a world where compassion and sustainability take precedence over profit and power. This collective call for change reflects a burgeoning awareness that the status quo is unsustainable, aligning with the prophecy's message of transformative vision. In this light, the prophecy becomes a living directive, inspiring humanity to reimagine its future in alignment with principles of justice and compassion. The prophecy's relevance to modern events is unmistakable. Its cautions about turmoil, calls for justice, and promise of hope offer a framework for understanding today's crises. Far from a forecast of calamity, the prophecy serves as an invitation to reflect and act, urging us to confront the imbalances in our world and to cultivate compassion within our communities. In a world where environmental, social, and economic challenges intersect, the prophecy presents a transformative vision that reaches beyond mere survival. It calls us to forge a world where justice, equity, and sustainability form the bedrock of society, where communities unite for the greater good, and where empathy guides our actions. Black Jesus stands as a testament to the possibility of change, reminding us that transformation begins within the individual and extends to the collective. By correlating the prophecy with current events, we deepen our understanding of today's struggles and opportunities. The prophecy's message is both a warning and a mandate, encouraging humanity to carve a path defined by compassion, accountability, and resilience. It reminds us that the future is not predetermined. It is shaped by the decisions we make today. Embracing the prophecy's wisdom, we can endeavor toward a world that upholds human dignity and the sanctity of the earth, fostering a legacy of hope for future generations